Can't even acknowledge Colors Ultimate is a real thing. Oh, acknowledge it, baby! Colors' reputation is now Colors Ultimate on Switch. The fiasco. Colors is no longer the game that saved the franchise from 06 and Unleashed. Colors is now the game that caused seizures on innocent children. Think of the children. That is now the legacy of Colors. The most popular port, because Sonic sells best on Nintendo nowadays, the most popular port induced seizures on launch day. It's still there. On launch day. That is the new legacy. Okay? And Izuku will have to live with that legacy until he finally gives up and kills all of the fucking wisps. Fuck's sake. Alright, so it is finally time to check out the Metacritic scores for Sonic Colors Ultimate and see how well we, nay SEGA, did with regards to this remaster. Now, if you saw my Twitter versus Sonic Colors Ultimate video, you know they didn't do well. But no, Prem, you might be thinking, that's just the Switch port. Well, the other ports are fine, right? Well, I mean, okay, we'll take a look and we can then discuss how well they did. We'll look at some of the reviews, we'll skim through some of the text as well, and just compare it, and we'll see if it was a worthy remaster or not, and if this was a good thing for Sonic's reputation or not. First, we'll start with the OG. So we got the original Sonic Colors on Wii, as you can see, one of the highest rated Sonic games, at least of the modern variety, 78 on Metacritic, 8.4 user score. Pretty good, right? I mean, look at the reviews here. Only one negative review from the critics, the rest were like positive or mixed. Just in case you don't know, 75 and above is like green, which is good. Under 75 is yellow, so that's mixed. So anything here is like up to 74. I think it's from 50 to 74. Yeah, and then under that is red. So basically, that's what we're looking at here when it comes to these scores. So as you can see, this 0 is red. I was going to show a yellow to like make a point, but you can't actually see the yellow. Let me find the yellow one. Okay, there you go. 7 is a yellow, basically. I say this is like Unleashed but worse. Okay, yeah, facts. But yes, this is the score for the original game, so we're going to use that when we compare to the remaster. And I guess we can also show the DS version, just because, I guess, why not? It got 79 on the critic score, but it scored slightly worse on the user scores. But yeah, around the same pretty much level. Alright, so I know Colors Ultimate fans, or the Defense Squad, have been seriously ingesting the copium dioxide recently with regards to Ultimate. So we're going to start with the positive one, okay? We're going to start the positive one. Let's ease them into it, okay? I don't want to give them a heart attack. So we'll start with the Xbox One port, which, again, as I said, 75 is the bare minimum to get a green score. And luckily for them, because it dropped to about, it was at 72, actually, last time I checked. So it was a yellow score. But one new review came in, which was this one, which gave it an 87, the highest review it had here on the critic scores, and it bumped it up to 75. Luckily for them, we got one green review score for Sonic Colors Ultimate. Now, we all knew, or at least if you watch my videos, we all knew that the score is going to drop from the original 78, because remasters tend to have a lower score unless they do something crazy to warrant it being a superior version by far, right? It's just games get older and newer things come out that are better, and people just go, you know what, that thing's cool, but like, yeah, I'm not going to score it as high as I did before, right? So yeah, a 3-point drop isn't horrible. I mean, for the Xbox One port, it's probably the best port. I mean, I haven't played any of the ports. I mean, PC, I'm sure it's probably better if I had to make an assumption, aside from it being a shitty Epic Game Store exclusive. But aside from that, I think the Xbox One port is probably going to be the best of the console ports, because it's not the Switch port, and the PS4 version had like save data corrupting issues, and I haven't heard any of that on Xbox One. So a 75, I guess, is fine, you know, for that. It's only 7 critic review scores, and, you know, just to preface this by saying, like, obviously, like, these scores are still being updated. It's only 7 critic reviews. They could keep going up and down. As I said, it was yellow before, it was 72, and it rose up to 75 before I started recording. It could go up, it could go down, so just be aware of that. And the user scores are obviously heavily fluctuating right now. There's only 50 ratings, whereas the original Colors had 500 ratings. So the scores are definitely going to be fluctuating a lot on the user end as well. Plus people review bombing and doing the opposite of review bombing as well. Like, some people just be spamming zeros because they don't like something. And then on the other side, you got the fanboys spamming 10s because they like something. So there's also going to be a lot of skewerizationing of the scores. But yeah, if we go through these things, you can see here, so lifelong Sonic fan, core gameplay is great, wisp ad for, okay. Most of these reviews on the Xbox version are pretty stale though, like nothing outrageously like you know, that stands out that I have to read or anything like that. And then you've got the user reviews, the best Sonic game in this. Relax. This game has too many 2D sections to even be called a 3D game. Oh god, I can't read that. Looks like that person would have preferred just playing on Dolphin, but but yeah, that's pretty much the Xbox One version. 75 is pretty good for the critic score. User score is obviously shit. Like, let's be real, 4.3 is shit. But yeah, let's move on to the PS4 version now. So the PS4 version actually started off higher and went lower. So the Xbox One version went lower and then went up, but this one started up and went down. I remember when the Metacritics first started coming in, it was at like 77, and people were like, see, it's only 1 point away from the 78 of the original. Then it dropped to 76, and they were starting to get a little bit silent, and then it dropped to the yellow, and now it's copium dioxide on Twitter. Nonetheless, 74 is not horrible, a 4-point drop for a remaster. I mean, 78 in and of itself is not that high to begin with, let's be real. Like, there are AAA developers who are getting games in the 80s consistently, and sometimes even in the 90s. Mania Plus has a 91. Made by Whitehead and his team. So I'm just saying a 78 as our pinnacle is kind of embarrassing. Like, as a Sonic fan, like, you know, I wish we were getting more 80s, but to be fair, Sega don't be putting in the effort like they used to anyway, so I mean, whose fault is that? But yeah, they got a 74 here, and they got 39 critic reviews, so a lot more to pull from. User scores are also pretty low, it's a 4.6, and this has got 82 ratings, way more than what the Xbox One version had. Gaming Age gave it a 100, and they said it's exactly what it claims to be, an ultimate version of an already decent Sonic title. So you gave it a 100, a perfect score, and the only thing you could call it was decent? Man, what kind of scoring system is that? Anyway, Colors Ultimate represents the unhindered high points of 3D. Oh my god, no. Sonic Colors Ultimate serves as a sad reminder that even the 3D Sonic games that are one of the good ones don't hold up very well. God, it's not even one of the good. I'm sorry. I can't help it. I can't. Destructoid gave it an 85, even though they gave the original a 4.5 or 45. Comparing it, but obviously two different reviewers. I know Jim Sterling reviewed the original version and they didn't like the original, so actually let me see if I can find the original score. Yeah, it's this one. So Colors feels like a step back into the same crack the series has drowned in for the past decade. I don't know how that's even the case. It's so different from everything else that came before it, but okay. Despite the 11 years on his shoulders, Sonic Colors is confirmed to be among the most interesting adventures of the polygonal second life of the hyperkinetic catch. You see, when people write shit like this, I know they don't play Sonic often. Like, who writes like that? Like, what the fuck is this? Man, how many IGNs are there? There's IGN Italy, there's fucking IGN Spain, and they're all taking up Metacritic scores. Very to the traditional gameplay of new mechanics that will delight younger players, of course. Colors Ultimate gameplay loop is enjoyable and boasts high replayability. However, the tail-save implementation, boss battles, and some wisp power utilization slow this speedy adventure down to a crawl. Definitely. Sonic Colors Ultimate is the best version of an okay game. I mean, that's kind of false. It's not the best version, and I mean, I agree on the okay game part. It's certainly among the Hedgehog's better outings since its Genesis heyday. Oh, I can smell the 1985 on that sentence. Sonic Colors Ultimate is a good game by the low standards of 3D Sonic. Fuck's sake. Sonic Colors Ultimate is a faithful remake of the 2010 game that you'll probably enjoy if you're either a dedicated Sonic fan or a child who doesn't mind the easy difficulty and childish style. Okay, I like that. Let's look at the user scores. One of the best games I played. I really don't understand why this game was receiving lots of hate. Some fuckers just coming to Metacritic for giving negative scores. First of all, go play these games, you fuckers. Then you people have the right to hate something without experiencing. Don't simply talk shit. Sonic Colors was never really that great, but Ultimate is both a downgrade and an upgrade. That's kind of true, actually. There's a bit of a perception that Sonic Colors saved the Sonic franchise when it came all the way back in 2010. In fact, it was viewed as a refreshing change of pace to the games that came before. In retrospect, there are a lot of flaws about the game that are very hard to overlook, things like the incredibly short campaign that takes maybe a few hours at best to complete. Facts. There's a feeling of cheapness about Colors from its... Yeah. Facts. It does have more content than the original game. That would be great if most of the levels were fun to play through. Unfortunately, only the first level of every... Okay, I like this review. Not to mention, for a 3D Sonic title game, over half the gameplay time is actually 2D. Thank you. I mean, this is a decent review. Like, almost feels like I could have written it. This is definitely an unfinished product. Audio issues, save corruption, and glitches galore. I'm not saying that sentence, but this is unacceptable. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the PS4 version. Mixed on the critic scores, it's yellow. User scores are red, of course. And before we get to Switch, let's quickly take a look at PC, because the critic scores aren't enough. You need 4 scores for it to actually cement. There's only one review that gives it an 80, so they don't score it until there's at least 4, because they don't want it to be skewed, obviously. But yeah, there's one score that says, yeah, remasters the original. It's a worthwhile revisit. This is Sonic done right. And then the user scores are actually lower on PC than everything else, which I don't know why that would be the case. I would assume the PC, maybe because people are mad at the Epic Game Store thing, which is kind of understandable. PC version is OP. Best game of all time. Relax. The fuck is this? Relax. Let the haters bark as loud as possible. Haters only know how to talk shit about other developers' effort, as if those people can make better games. Absolute disgrace of a remaster full of bugs, and missing audio happens often. You know what's worser? Is my save corrupted just as I got supersonic. Yeah, that's kind of painful actually. Like, go through all that pain, red rings to get supersonic just for your save files to corrupt. I'll start with the fact that the original game was bad. A terrible children's story along with boring wisps. In Sonic Colors Ultimate, we get degraded graphics along with broken gameplay. It's also worth noting a bunch of bugs, because of which it is almost impossible to play. As a result, we get one of the worst games about Sonic, which does not deserve attention. And someone just gives it 0 because Tails is not a playable character. You see, I told you to make Tails playable, Sega. You could have got a 10 from this guy, but now you lost it because you didn't make Tails playable. But yeah, not much to report on the PC version. Pretty much no critic scores that are enough to cement the actual final score, and user scores are the lowest out of all the ports. Now we get to Switch, and oh god, man, like, as much as this score is kind of low, like 64, like, because I remember I had a video talk about Colors Ultimate scores, and in the thumbnail I had like a, what was it, a 67, and people said it was clickbait because why would it be a 67? And then we got a 64. So I even undershot it. It was more than an 11-point drop. This is a 14-point drop. Okay, the PS4 port only dropped what, 4 points, and the Xbox One port only dropped 3 points from the original 78 of the Wii version. This is 14 points and 3.7 on the user score, which well deserved, honestly well deserved. For the record, even 06 has a higher user score than Colors. Oh my god, you done fucked up. Even the PS3 version has a higher user score than the Switch version. Like, the 360 version has a higher score than all the versions right now. We're talking user score. But like, even the PS3 port has a higher score than the Switch version. That's just embarrassing, I'm sorry. But while we accept the fact that the users think that 06 is better than Colors Ultimate, oh, music to my ears, I still think critics cut this game a lot of slack. I'm not even gonna fucking lie to you. Like, 64? Like, the game induced seizures. It had all sorts of flickering colors on the screen. Shit that 06 never did. Like, 06 had its fair share of bugs. Let's not get it twisted. I love that game, but like, it had its fair share of bugs. Most of them were just funny to look at. There was some embarrassing shit here, like screen flickers and random rainbows on the screen. Like, you saw my Twitter vs Sonic Colors Ultimate video. How did they even still manage to scrape a 64 when 06 got a 46? Like, come on. But I said this before, like way before Colors Ultimate was a thing. I said that glitches is not the reason that 06 bombed. While it's something that they shouldn't have, you know, released the game in that state, I still think that the reason 06 bombed is because people just didn't like the game in its entirety. Like, I love the game, so I can tolerate some glitches, but I just think people scored it low because they didn't like a lot of the elements. Like, they didn't like playing as maybe Shadow or Silver or whatever. They didn't like Princess Elise for some reason. Everyone hates Princess Elise. They didn't like the story, and they didn't like the whole, a lot of things people didn't like about the game, so the glitches wasn't really the true reason. I said this before, people will defend glitches in games they like, and it's clear the way people were defending Colors Ultimate because it was their precious Wisp game that is the case. I defended the glitches in 06. I don't really defend the glitches in 06. I just defended the game because I like it in spite of the glitches, not because of the glitches. But my point is, 64 is pretty high, and if it was a game that they didn't like, they wouldn't be giving it a 64. That's all I'm saying. They still like it. It's still Colors at its core. There's not a single negative critic review 2 people gave it an 80, even though this game has fucking seizure-inducing shit in it. I don't know if they even fully played the remaster or they just played it for like 30 minutes and said, oh, let's still colors and let's score it. I don't know if they're trying to save time, but yes, not a single negative review on the Switch port if we're talking critic-wise. So it's clear that, you know, they're gonna go to bat for their precious Wisp game. And I mean, to be fair, critics like easier games. Colors Ultimate removes lives from the original, it adds tail save, it's easier in a lot of ways simply because of that, and I think critics are going to be less frustrated playing it, because I mean, Colors was designed in its inception to please critics and please children. I mean, that's what Izuka said. Well, the children part, he did actually say that part. He didn't say the critics part, but it's obvious in the way that he would describe the game that it was a game to appease what critics were saying, which is, we like the day parts of Unleashed, but fuck the werehog, and they essentially gave us that. And you can see that it worked, because even for them to have a Colors Ultimate release in its state and still score a review that's not as low as 06 or as Rise of Lyric, which Rise of Lyric did score worse than 06 for the record, is pretty telling. I mean, you can see the reviews here are pretty tame, like nothing too horrible. Like, this classic Sonic game offers really far. Why would they call it classic? Oh, these critics are so fucking casual, man. Colors Ultimate tries to offer a remastering of the original Wii, well, original Wii game. It's not remastering the Wii itself. It's not a Wii classic. But fails in multiple areas. Although the base experience is still fun, this job leaves a lot to be desired. I had replayed a bit of Colors on Wii recently to reaffirm how much I enjoyed it, and this remaster simply does not feel like an upgrade. At its best, it feels like just the Wii game, and at its worst, an obvious step down. Let's check some of the user scores. Colors Ultimate fails to be a good remaster because of having visual and seizure glitches that are way more than Sonic 06. The balloon doesn't look appeal to me, and the added content doesn't feel enough. The fact that this game got approved for a release like this is pathetic. Not even 06 or Rise of Lyric were this bad. Fix your game, Sega. I think this game was worse than Forces, and that's really saying something. I'll be straight. Don't believe in hate. Don't believe in these bugs. Not the vast majority, yes. The game has some bugs here and there, but not this nonsense that some people are showing. Oh, and by the way, these videos and images are glitches provoked by the player, and the worst, they use Switch's emulator to fake everything that's happening. It's amazing to see how the human being has the ability to do such a shit. But speaking of the game itself, it's the same as the Wii but improved, a good remaster, as they not only put or emulated the title and left it in HD, which would have been better, but also modified the graphics and added a new wisp, which is worth mentioning is just part of gameplay, is an extra. Jade is not canon in Colors. Sonic Colors is a good game and I recommend it, but don't expect too much from it. It's another good game to zero in. What does that mean? Don't expect. Why would you give it a 9 if you weren't supposed to expect too much from it? Like, people just be scoring things any way they want. Like, I don't know, man. So what is the verdict here? I mean, I made a video talking about the Colors Comedown, which was how the remaster was going to get lower scores than the original, and it was going to affect the way people see Colors. I didn't see it going down exactly this way. I thought people were just going to realize that the game wasn't all that. That's how I thought it was going to go down. But instead, Sega made it easier and just fucked up the whole release and made it fucking buggy, and people lost interest because of that. And it was trending on Twitter, had over 100k tweets of people just bashing the game. Iron from Game Grumps was like, you know, quote tweeting a, you know, glitch on the Switch version saying, we're gonna play this now that it's glitchy, basically. So once he plays it, he's gonna ruin the reputation of Colors. And yeah, it sucks to be a Colors fan right now, but honestly, it sucks to be a Sonic fan because they just keep doing shit like this. Like, people ask, like, is this worse than 06 or not? And yeah, you can say I'm biased because I love 06, but I think this is worse than 06 for 2 reasons. One, they should have learned their fucking lesson by now. Like, they already had 06, they had Sonic Genesis GBA, they had Rise of Lyric. Like, how many times do they have to keep doing the same fucking shit before it's like, you know, like, fool me once, shame on you. Like, but at this point, it's like, you've done this before, stop doing it. Like, and the second reason is because there's a direct comparison to something that came before. With Sonic Genesis GBA, it's like, okay, this version of the game is trash, but we could just play the original. The Colors Ultimate, yeah, Ultimate is trash. We could just play the original on Dolphin, which is better, which is what we've been saying. With 06, it's like, that's the only way to play it, really. So if you like the game, we're gonna have to just suck it up and play it on the original version on 360 or PS3 or whatever. But with Colors Ultimate, you have a memory of playing a superior version on the Wii, So it's kind of hard to just suck it up and enjoy this buggy version. The only real benefit is that it's more accessible because it's on modern hardware, but then again, if you got a PC that was made in the 2010s, you can run Dolphin and you'll be fine, right? And I guess of those 6 you could argue there's P06, but that's the thing that came after, right? Like, for years that wasn't even a thing that existed, for at least a good decade after the game came out. So again, like, there's no reason for Colors Ultimate to exist if they're gonna make it worse than the original. It just seems like they dropped the ball, and I don't know why. Like, a September release, there was no holiday excuse, there was no, we need to get it in time for the whole, you could have delayed it to like November, you would have still been fine. It's not like GTA 6 is coming out, like, what the fuck? What are you running from? Like, you could have delayed it a few months to get it right. This is just Sega being incompetent again. Like, there's no defense for this. I don't know how people are defending it. I don't know how the Switch version has not got a single red review. Like, are people this biased towards Colors? Like, in a positive way? I don't know. Like, if they had made an amazing remaster, like, everything looked so much better, and there was new additions, and the cutscenes weren't AI upscale, they were properly, like, redone in 4K, they added new playable characters instead of stupid player icons, and online multiplayer. If they did all the bells and whistles, then even I would go, you know, I feel bad for these low scores. But as it stands, I can't feel bad for these low scores, because they chose to rush it. And even with 06, like, I love 06, but I can't feel bad that the scores are low when they rushed it out the door. Like, I'll defend design choices in 06, but I can't defend Sega the company for rushing out the game. Like, so if they have to get low scores, then so be it. And the same applies to Colors Ultimate. All the user scores are lower than 06. The critic scores are higher because people still like the game even in its base form, even if the remaster's worse. And I guess that's just how it is. Will this affect our ability to get new remasters is a question that a lot of people have been asking, because I know there's been talks about a Generations Ultimate, which is most likely the next thing they'll do, because this is Azuka's baby, right? Colors was Azuka's baby, you know, the love child, the favorite son, right? Generations was the middle child, which was still loved but not as talked about as Colors. But I would assume that after Colors they'll go Generations, because Unleashed fans, we don't deserve anything, of course. So I don't know if this would affect our ability to get Generations Ultimate or not. Hopefully they don't call it Ultimate because they've ruined that word now. But I don't know if it would affect our ability to get it. I mean, I guess it depends on sales, right? If this thing still sells like hotcakes, then they'll still do a Generations Ultimate, even with these low scores, right? I would assuming. You know, I don't think it's going to change the franchise in any major way in terms of like the main series. Like, Rangers already being worked on. Azuka says the Rangers formula is going to be used for like a decade, assuming it does well. I don't know. So I don't know how much of a ripple effect this is going to have. But like, we'll see what happens with Generations Ultimate. But if they butcher that, like, I have a PC version of the game, so I'm not as bothered. But it would be upsetting to see them butcher that. Although that is on the Hedgehog engine, so it should be harder for them to butcher, I guess. But even still, like, for them to just release this shoddy Switch port, and like, well, all the ports are shoddy, but like, especially shoddy Switch port, and, you know, have it have all these issues, and then to be like, oh yeah, we're gonna patch it, and, you know, the game's been out for days now and there's no patch. They even went as far as to lower the price of the game by like $7. So it was like 40 bucks and they dropped it to like 34 bucks or something. I guess to entice people who saw the glitches and like, you know, let's push them to still get the game anyway. They're probably just gonna milk it, maybe patch out the seizure shit and call it a day. I don't know how much they're actually gonna patch out. We'll have to see. We'll have to see if the scores fluctuate any further, if it goes up or if it goes down. There's only 8 critic reviews on the Switch port, so I don't know. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about this, man. Do you think that the scores are justified? Do you think they're too high or too low? I think critics kind of cut the game a lot of slack. Like, it should have scored lower, especially the Switch port. The Switch port should not have been in the 60s, not even in the 50s, honestly. But it is what it is, man. But yeah, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell. Make sure to check out the non-Sonic channel. The link will be in the description. But that's all I have to say right now. So, Premy out.